Let me get this out of the way immediately. This is not an anti-induction video. Cooking via induction is pretty rad, and I've been using this innovative method off and on for more than a decade on a portable induction burner. But none of the homes I've lived in have had an induction stove, and when it comes time to replace my current one, that likely won't change. Today I'm going to share both the merits and the downsides of induction stoves and why they just don't work for my particular needs. Now, you may or may not be in the same situation, so let's get at it. Hello and welcome to I Want to Cook. My name is Chef Matt, and this channel is all about helping you be a better cook. And well, for most of us, that involves one of these, a stove, the heart of the kitchen. Now note that I might interchange the terms stove and range for this video. Technically, the stove is just the top portion that cooks, while when you're talking about a range, well, that is both a stove and an oven combined in one unit. Some homes have a setup where the stove is separate from the ovens. Those might be built-in ovens on the wall or a double oven on the wall. And well, if you have one of those, you are fancy. Now, for the most part, ranges and stoves come in two varieties, either gas or electric. Now, gas, well, that's pretty self-explanatory. It is just a flame, and it is perhaps the most primal of cooking. Our ancestors just applied flame to food to cook it, and in some cases that method is still used today, but not quite as much. But most of the time, the flame heats the cookware, which then directly or indirectly cooks the food. It's direct when, say, the pan is hot enough and cooks the food, metal to food for instance, and indirect when, say, the pan boils water, which then cooks the food in the water. Now, I literally cook with gas. That is the primary method that I use for cooking. Most of the homes I've lived in have had a gas stove, and in culinary school, that's all we used. We used some lovely Wolf ranges, commercial of course, and those things were wonderful. I love cooking with gas because, well, it is just immediate. There is so much precision. You can dial it down or turn it up as much as you need, and you know exactly how much heat is being output because, well, it's highly visible. You never need to worry about lag time or latency issues with gas stoves because, well, when you turn it down, the heat goes down. When you turn it up, the heat goes up. And this is especially true when you are working with highly conductive cookware such as copper, where the reaction is immediate. Now, electric stoves are a far broader category, and they range from everything from something very simple like this with just these coils that are heated by electricity. They get very hot. You put the cookware on top of these coils, and then that of course cooks the food. Or there's other ones that are a little more sophisticated where the coils are underneath, let's say like a glass ceramic, and that in turn heats that up. You put the cookware on top and you are cooking. But the issue with most electric ranges is that, well, there's lag times and latency issues. Unlike a flame that's either on or off, the element is still going to stay hot. So that means if you're trying to, let's say, turn down the heat quickly, well, the pan or the pot or whatever you're using to cook with, it just won't do that because it's sitting on that element, which is of course still hot. Well, induction stoves, although they are part of the electric stove family, they're different. And because they are different and the way they work, that solves a lot of the usual problems that you get with an electric stove. Now, without going too far into the weeds, induction stoves work by magnetism. And instead of heating up an element that gets hot and then you put the cookware on it and that in turn gets the cookware hot, via magnetism, induction stoves work by just making the cookware hot. So there's kind of no middleman there. There's no like element underneath that gets the cookware hot. It works by magnetism to just get the cookware hot. And by doing that, well, like I say, you kind of cut out the middleman. There is no heating element that you have to wait on if you turn up or down the temperature. If you turn up the temperature, the cookware immediately gets hotter, and then if you turn it down, the cookware immediately loses heat. It's pretty cool. Beyond just the responsiveness, there's other benefits to induction over standard electric. And one of them is they're usually more efficient. They usually just use less energy, and that can mean a lower utility bill. And furthermore, especially if you have, let's say, young kids or pets in the house, you don't have an element that stays hot. So if you had one of these electric type stoves, and you put your hand on the element after you turned it off, well, it is very hot and it could burn you. But with an induction burner like this, once you cut the heat, these get cold really fast. There might be some residual heat just on the surface, but because you're only heating the cookware and not an element underneath, well, you don't have to worry about combustion issues should something like fall on that burner after you turn it off. So I can understand why more and more new homes are going with induction stoves. There's a lot of benefits, and if folks are replacing their current stove, kind of like I need to do eventually for this one, it's no wonder that people go with induction. They're really coming down in price. They start at maybe several $100s, so there's a cost benefit there as well. And even some restaurants along the domain of the flame, even they are going with induction stoves as well. So what's my problem with these, and why don't they fit my particular needs? Well, it comes down to two words: cookware compatibility. Now, I made an entire video on this, how to know if your cookware is induction ready, but well, the short version is if it's magnetic, it will work on an induction stove, and if it's not, it won't. And while I have a good amount of cookware that will work on an induction burner, well, I have even more that won't. Now, you don't necessarily need brand new state-of-the-art cookware for it to work on induction. Because it only requires a ferrous magnetic material, something like cast iron, which is, well, it can be centuries old, can work on an induction burner. But something like stainless steel, well, some stainless steel cookware will work and some won't, just depending on if the manufacturer has made it compatible with an induction range. Same goes for non-stick cookware. I have some that does work and some that doesn't. But furthermore, if you watch this channel regularly, thank you, you know that I have a lot of vintage cookware. And I have a lot of vintage Corningware, that wonderful pyroceramic cookware that I made an entire video about. Well, I use that stuff every single day, and well, it will definitely not work on an induction range. That is a glass material, and glass is definitely not magnetic. And aside from not wanting to buy a whole new collection of cookware that is induction ready, the fact is, I really enjoy collecting and using old cookware, all manner of cookware. This little pot, this wherever, I bought it for $3 at a thrift shop in Texas, and I just get so much enjoyment cooking with this. It's got this nice stainless steel interior, but the outside, well, this is aluminum, and that means that this would not work on an induction stove. But, well, it works great on gas. The same goes for my beloved Maviel. This is my copper-clad stainless steel pan. This is the one that I scored on the cheap. I made a whole video about it. We made some wonderful scallops in this pan. But here again, a wonderful pan, and so versatile and so responsive to heat on the flame. Well, this would be a no-go on induction. Now, I should note this wouldn't be the issue with standard electric ranges, something with that heating element underneath. All of the cookware would work on it because, well, you're simply putting cookware on top of a hot surface. But again, induction is an unusual case. Now, I have heard there are like plates you can put on induction ranges that will help kind of, transfer that heat. but I really have my doubts of how well they would work, especially if you wanted to do high heat cooking like searing. If you have one of those, let me know how it's working. But in the end, for me, I just love gas ranges. Now, I know they have their downsides, and I made a video on that I'll link to in the description below, but the upsides outweigh the downsides for me. I just love the finesse that you get with a gas range. I just love the immediacy. And there's also another aspect to gas ranges that I utilize, and that is charring. You might have remembered when we toasted those tortillas, where we just held those tortillas directly over the flame, no cookware needed. That is a special application that you could do with gas, but you couldn't do with an electric stove. And there's also the broiler element as well. If you're into broiling and you really want that flame char, there again, a gas range is going to give you that. Now, if you're considering an induction stove for your house, but you're just not sure if you're gonna like cooking on it or if a lot of your cookware is gonna be compatible with it, here's my advice before you go out and spend thousands of dollars. Get one of these. This is just a little induction stove, just a portable burner. These plug into a wall. They're just electric. They don't require any like special voltage. You can just plug them into a wall outlet. And although they won't have the power of, a standard induction stove, they do work quite well. And you can kind of get a feel for what it would be like to cook on an induction range. Now, these don't cost very much. I bought this one new in the box many years ago at the thrift store, but getting something like this and just dipping your toe in the induction waters can save you a whole lot of money and headaches and let you kind of test things out before you go full boat and get a whole induction range if you're not sure about it. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What do you cook on? Do you have an electric range? Do you have a halogen range, a gas range, induction? Put that in the comments below. Let me know how you like cooking with it. Okay, trivia time. Last week I asked you to identify this strange thing, and several of you got it right. It is indeed horseradish root. If you like that horseradish sauce you get with your prime rib, or perhaps wasabi with your sushi, you have this to thank. I guess I got a lot of grating to do and a lot of horseradish to eat, don't I? But yes, this is horseradish root, and you can find it in the produce section of your supermarket. At least I can. I don't know. Can you? Okay, for this week's culinary trivia, what do we have here? What is this? I love the smell of it. There's a hint for you. I'm sure many of you know what this is. If you do or you have a guess, put it in the comments below. I will, of course, let you know the correct answer in the next video. Hey, as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Until next time, I hope you want to cook. P.S. Wolf, if you are watching this, my range really is on its last legs. It's 40 years old and dying quickly. I am dreaming of replacing it with a Wolf when I remodel my kitchen. So, I don't know, maybe let's talk.